At the Father's Day dinner, my cousin couldn't resist a grin. "We drained your account, call it a group gift," he said. Then my brother chimed in, "You always say family comes first, so we came first." I forced a smile, cancelled all the payments in their names, and quietly slipped away from the table. About 10 minutes later, the doorbell rang, and things took a sharp turn. "You always acted like the family's wallet," my cousin Josh said, raising his glass with that smug smile, the one you wear when you're about to embarrass someone on purpose. I didn't respond. I was still too taken aback by the way everyone else at the table laughed. "You're kidding, right?" I said, trying to laugh along. But my brother Dylan, lounging back in his chair with his napkin still tucked into his collar like a bib, said, "You always say family comes first, so we came first." "Simple math," he added. I glanced around the table. No one seemed surprised. Not my mom, who kept sipping her wine like it was just another day. Not my dad, who had just raised his glass a minute ago to toast our strong family ties. Not even Aunt Monica, who once cried over a small overdraft fee, now staring at me and shrugging. They all knew. I'd paid for the dinner, like I always did. I'd booked the private room at Ridge and Maple, ordered the wines they liked, even prepaid for dessert. Father's Day was always tough, but I still showed up. Still tried. But this? This was something else. "You drained my account," I said, my voice quiet. "You mean, you actually emptied it?" Josh sipped his drink, as calm as ever. "Group gift," he said, almost nonchalantly. "Think of it like reallocating family funds. We figured it made sense since you never say no." Dylan leaned in, adding, "It was just sitting there, bro. You act like it's sacred, but money's just a tool. You say you love us, right? So, what's the problem?" I smiled. Not because I was okay, but because I finally understood. They thought I was stuck. That I'd keep playing the role of the generous fool forever. That I was too soft to walk away. But they forgot something important. I may have paid for dinner, but I still had the receipts. I pulled out my phone, doing it quietly, no fuss. I just opened my banking app and started swiping. Josh was still babbling about some new startup idea. Dylan was on his second bourbon. Nobody noticed that I was freezing every automatic payment tied to their names: Dylan's car insurance, the one I'd been covering since his DUI, Josh's rent, which I'd been paying under a fake name on his lease, even the family Spotify account. Mom's Amazon Prime. Everything. I pressed confirm on the last one. Then I stood up. "Where are you going?" my dad asked, finally snapping out of his daze. "Bathroom," I said. "Won't be long." But I didn't head for the bathroom. I walked straight out the restaurant door into the summer evening. About 10 minutes later, the doorbell rang again. Everything changed. The first text came through before I even made it to the parking lot. "Dylan, what did you do?" Then another, "Mom, sweetheart, can you please come back? There's been a misunderstanding." And one more that made me stop in my tracks. "Josh, bro, it was a joke." "Come on." A joke? They thought draining my account, mocking me in front of the whole family, and toasting to my humiliation was a joke. Let's rewind. It didn't start at dinner. It started long before. Years before. I was always the fixer. The one they called when the electric bill was overdue. When Josh's credit card got declined. When Dylan's license got suspended, and he needed an Uber account, just for a few weeks. They didn't ask. They assumed. Like that time Mom texted me. "Hey honey, I put you down as cosigner for Dylan's loan. Just a formality. No need to worry." No, can we, or would you mind? Or when Dad broke his foot, and somehow it became my job to cover the mortgage for 3 months straight. You don't want us to lose the house, do you? They never forgot to send that kind of message. Then came the group chat incident. 6 months ago, Josh screenshotted my dating profile and dropped it into the family group with the caption, "Our local bank account trying to find love." It got 23 laughing reactions. Even Aunt Monica chimed in, saying, "He's such a sweet boy. Always helping. Hope someone sees his heart under all that desperation." Nobody defended me. Not even Mom. When I confronted her later, she just shrugged and said, "They're just teasing. That's what families do. It's love, just not gentle." The money started disappearing, little by little. At first, I thought I was just spending too much food, bills, the usual. But then I started noticing transfers I didn't make. A Venmo charge labeled wedding deposit. But I wasn't dating anyone. A $900 Apple Pay withdrawal I couldn't trace. Turns out, Dylan had been using an old connected device. One I'd forgotten to deauthorize. When I brought it up, he just laughed. "You're acting like you're broke," he said. "You make, what, 6 figures? Don't pretend it hurts you." Then came Dad. He started calling more often. But never just to check in. It was always, "Do you have a second?" Which really meant, "Can I guilt you into something?" He was behind on taxes. Claimed it was a clerical error. I paid it. He needed help with repairs. I paid it. Then I found out, through a cousin, that Josh had been telling everyone he paid for my college. That was the tipping point. The real breaking point? It was the week before dinner when I checked my savings and saw it had dropped by $12,300. Gone. My first thought was fraud. So I called the bank. They told me the transfer had been authorized from my IP address. But I hadn't done it. I filed a report. That's when it hit me. 2 weeks before, Josh had borrowed my laptop, claiming his was on the fritz. I never thought to check if he'd installed remote access. When I confronted him, he barely reacted. "Man, why are you acting like a cop?" He said. "It's just money. We needed it." I asked, "Who's we?" He flashed a grin. "The family." At that dinner, the one where he made a joke out of my broken spine, it all clicked. They weren't just taking advantage of me, they weren't even hiding it. Parasites don't laugh while they feed. No, they were builders. They'd constructed a system where I was just a resource for them to drain. And the worst part? I let them do it. I believed that if I gave enough, maybe, just maybe, they'd finally see me as something more than a bank. Someone worthy of respect. But in the end, all I got was the punchline. When I left that restaurant, I didn't head home. I went to my office. I opened my files, because I hadn't just been throwing money at them, I'd been collecting things too. Screenshots. Messages. Audio recordings. Like the one where Josh said, "If he finds out we took that money, just say we thought it was his gift to Dad. He won't push." Or the group chat where Dylan laughed about how easy it was to gaslight me. But there was something else, something no one knew about. Remember that family investment Dad roped me into 2 years ago? The property in Temecula that was supposed to be a vineyard? I pulled the records last month when something felt off. Turns out, they'd used my identity to get a business loan. And guess what? They never paid it back. My credit was taking a hit, and I hadn't even noticed. Why? Because they had been forwarding all the letters to a family P.O. box that Josh set up. So no, that dinner wasn't the explosion. It was just the last spark. And that doorbell? That was the beginning of war. But not the war they expected. Because I wasn't going to yell. I was going to dismantle their empire, piece by piece. And it all started with the person standing on the other side of that door. The person standing there wasn't who they thought it would be. It was Mara, my financial advisor. But more importantly, she was the one who helped me track down every shady transaction, every unauthorized access, every time my family dipped their hands into places they had no right to be. And she wasn't smiling. She was holding a manila folder in one hand and her phone in the other. I didn't say a word, just let her in. Behind me, the dining room felt frozen, Josh still holding his drink Madeira, Dylan texting under the table, Dad chewing slowly like he had no idea a storm had just walked in. Mom broke the silence first. "Who is this?" I sat at the head of the table and motioned for Mara to join me. "This," I said calmly, "is the person who helped me figure out where my savings went." Josh snorted. "Oh, come on. Don't make this dramatic. It's not a crime to help familia." Mara opened the folder and laid 5 sheets in front of me. I slid them across the table one by one, like I was dealing cards in a high-stakes poker game. The first sheet was a signed loan application in my name. Next was a bank transfer from my business account to Josh's crypto wallet. Then a screenshot of Dylan logging into my online banking with a spoofed IP address. After that, a transcript of the group chat with timestamps. And finally, a digital audio file titled simply, "Dad's Plan." I hit play on my phone. Dad's voice filled the room. "Look, if he finds out, we just say it was for him. Father's Day, retirement gift, doesn't matter. He won't sue us. He's too soft." There was no movement. No one breathed. Then Mara added, "That recording was pulled from a cloud backup. You didn't realize he still had his Dropbox synced." Dad slammed his glass on the table. "You're recording private conversations now?" I looked at him, steady as ever. "No, you recorded them. You just weren't smart enough to delete them." Josh shot up from his seat. "This is insane. You're acting like we're criminals." "It was a family misunderstanding," he muttered. Mara handed me a small black flash drive. "Show them the drive." I pulled out my laptop and plugged it in. What appeared wasn't an audio file. It was a folder labeled family ___dad ___ repayment ___ agreement __PDF, a forged digital contract my cousin had used to fake an agreement between me and Dylan. The signature on it? Mine. Except I never signed it. Mara zoomed in on the metadata, created by Josh. Lockwood. I turned the screen to Josh. "Recognize this, Josh?" His mouth opened. Then it snapped shut. Dylan cursed under his breath. "I didn't know he was actually going to file it," he muttered. Then, louder, I said, "I didn't know he was going to file it. It was supposed to be for emergencies." "And the $12,000 you moved from my account last week?" I asked. Silence. That's when Mom stood up, her voice shaking. "You're tearing this family apart over some money?" I laughed. But it wasn't a real laugh. It was more like a sob that shattered in half. "No, Mom. You did. When you all decided love was just about withdrawals, I reached into my bag and pulled out one last thing, an envelope. Inside, copies of every payment I'd made on your behalf over the last 3 years. $86,000. I read the total out loud. Josh went white. Dylan got up, muttering that he needed air, and left the room. Dad stared at his plate like it had betrayed him. "And Mom?" She whispered, "We didn't know it was that much." That's when the doorbell rang again. Everyone flinched. I smiled. "I think that's for you." Dad opened the door. In walked Eric, my cousin's ex, the one everyone used to call a drunk and a failure. Except now, he was holding a tablet, nodding at me. "Ready?" he asked. I nodded. He placed the tablet on the table and hit play. A video call. 3 weeks ago. Josh talking to Eric. "Listen, we're going to drain his account and call it a Father's Day gift," Josh said, so casual it made my blood run cold. "He won't even notice. If he gets mad, we'll just spin it. He's not going to check." Eric hesitated. "What if he finds out?" "Then we make him doubt himself," Josh replied. "You're good at playing innocent. You're good at acting shocked, right?" Eric paused the video. I saved that call just in case I needed to remind everyone who really betrayed me. Josh lunged for the tablet, but Mara was faster. She snatched it out of his reach. Touch it again, she said coolly, and I'll press charges. Dad turned to me, his face turning an angry shade of crimson, veins bulging. You think this makes you better than us? You've embarrassed us in front of each other. That's not family. I stood up slowly, holding his gaze. No, Dad. That's finally telling the truth. Then I turned to face everyone at the table. This is your notice. I've cancelled every payment, every transfer, every cosign loan, every auto-debit connected to your lives. Your subscriptions are dead. Your Netflix? Gone. Spotify? Gone. Josh's rent, Dylan's insurance, Mom's grocery card? Dead. I let the words hang in the air, cold and final. Then I added, and tomorrow, the IRS will get a full report of the fraudulent loan you took out in my name. Good luck with that audit, Dad. Dad lunged forward like he was going to strike me. Eric stepped in front of him, one hand raised, his tone icy. Sit down. The room froze. I gathered the papers, slipped the flash drive into my pocket, and turned to leave. Josh muttered, "You're seriously just leaving after all this?" I paused at the door, looking back at them. Yeah. Quietly. More respect than you ever gave me. And then I walked out. Out into the night. No yelling. No drama. Just a man who had finally learned that family meant nothing if it came with chains. The next morning, I pressed publish. Not a dramatic video. Not a tearful selfie. Just a post. Title: What Family First Really Meant in My House. I attached the files, screenshots of the group chat, the forged loan, the audio of Dad, the fake repayment contract, and the bank record showing the $86,000 that had disappeared. And finally, the video of Josh laughing about gaslighting me. I didn't tag anyone. I didn't need to. Within 3 hours, it had over 12,000 shares. By noon, it had hit a local subreddit. By evening, it was on the front page of Reddit under r/entitled people. Then, TikTok picked it up. Someone cut the clip where Josh says, "You always say family comes first." So we came first, and paired it with a slow zoom on the bank statements. It went viral. 2 million views in 24 hours. I didn't read every comment, but the tone was clear. Imagine mocking someone who literally funded your life. That smile at the dinner table? That's generational trauma snapping. Roe handled it like a boss. Quiet revenge is the sweetest. Who's the loser now, Josh? That evening, Dylan texted me 19 times. First, we need to talk. Then, that post is ruining us. Please delete it. Finally, you think this is funny? You're burning down your own family. I left him on read. Around 8 p.m., I got a DM from a local reporter. She said the story had exploded online and asked if I wanted to comment. I sent her one line. Everything I posted has a paper trail. And you haven't seen half of it. She published the article that night. Family first, until the money runs out, a quiet son, an $86,000 betrayal, and the viral fallout. The article blew up. Then came the reactions. Mom posted a long message on Facebook the next morning. We may not be perfect, but we're still family. The internet shouldn't be a place to destroy the people you love. Forgiveness matters. The comments didn't go as she expected. Did you forgive yourselves when you stole from him? Forgiveness isn't a free pass. Lady, you raised a snake pit, and now you're surprised it's on camera? Then Josh. He tried to post a rebuttal, claiming I'd misrepresented everything. He said it was just financial support with a little miscommunication. Someone found a Reddit comment he made 6 months ago, bragging about milking my guilt complex. He deleted his profile that night. Dad? He didn't post anything. He lawyered up. I got a cease and desist letter typed in Comic Sans, accusing me of slandering the family legacy. I sent back a one-page reply. Just one sentence. Truth isn't slander. The day you decided to turn my love into a weapon, you lost your legacy. Then, something I never saw coming happened. The bank called me. Turns out, Mara had flagged so many transactions as suspicious that they started a formal investigation. Josh's phony contract? Dylan's fake access? The Temecula Vineyard loan? All of it was under the microscope. They froze 3 of our family accounts while they verified everything. Then, the IRS called. The loan they'd put in my name? They were looking into it for fraud. And the vineyard, the business Dad tried to register as veteran-owned? They found some serious discrepancies in the paperwork. Guess who handed over the original DD-214? Grandpa. And the craziest part? I hadn't even had a chance to tell him what went down. He called me out of the blue. He just said one thing, told you. Mud on their knees. Meanwhile, I was living a life I never thought I'd get to experience. I moved into my new apartment. It was a fresh start, clean, quiet. No more guilt trips, no more noise. I focused on building a YouTube channel, not about getting even, but about financial literacy. My first video? I talked about what happens when your family uses guilt as a weapon and how to take back control. Within 3 days, it hit 300,000 views. People, strangers, started messaging me, thanking me. They said I gave them the courage to cut ties, to say no, and to stop bleeding for people who only bring knives to the table. Then I got an email from a nonprofit that supports adult children from toxic families. They asked me to speak at their fall conference. Without hesitation, I said yes. But Dylan wasn't done yet. He showed up outside my apartment, hoodie on, tired eyes, holding cheap flowers. He said he wanted to talk. I opened the door just enough to tell him, I spent years trying to make your life easier. You spent those years making mine a living hell. I'm not here for your redemption arc. Then, I closed the door. The final blow? I changed every password, every account number. I shut down the joint account Mom used for emergencies. I canceled everything, the Prime account, Spotify, gym memberships, the Costco card, every last one of them. Then I made one last post. No drama, just a simple photo of my keychain with a new tag. Account closed. The caption? Turns out, family wasn't first. I was just the first they used. And you know what? I wasn't angry anymore. Not after the comments. Not after the viral videos. Not even after the bank investigations or the passive-aggressive cease and desist letter disguised as a church bulletin. I was done. Done pretending to be part of a family that only called me when a bill needed paying. Done trying to buy peace by staying silent. Done accepting you're too sensitive as an apology for being treated like a walking ATM with feelings. The last message I got from Mom was short and to the point, you've made your point. Can we please move forward? I didn't respond. But I did move forward. Just not in her direction. I changed my number. New carrier. New SIM card. No forwarding. Only 5 people have the new number. And none of them share my DNA. I went full-time with my YouTube channel. Now it's a brand debtless by design. The first hoodie drop? Sold out in 48 hours. As for the old family Spotify account? I replaced it with my own. The first playlist? Songs to cut toxic ties to. The cover image? A screenshot of Dylan's "We Need to Talk" text. But my favorite part? The news storefront. I took a small portion of what I recovered and partnered with a local mental health nonprofit to open a co-working cafe. It's a space for survivors, people from toxic homes, guilt-raised children who grew up into adults with strong boundaries. It's clean, bright, and safe. The name above the door? First Place. And under it, in smaller font, because I always came last, not anymore. The ribbon cutting went viral, too. Someone tagged Josh. He didn't comment. Dylan posted a story, some people forget who fed them. I almost laughed. You didn't feed me. I paid for the dinner. I paid for dessert. I even tipped well and got spit in return. But now? I eat in peace. I live without that constant feeling of sirens in my chest. I sleep without wondering who's going to text me at 2 a.m. asking for $400 or reminding me of how much they did for me growing up. Let me make this clear, I am not a villain for choosing peace. I'm not cruel for refusing to fund my own abuse. And above all, I am not your redemption story. This isn't a story about forgiveness and hugging it out. This is the story of me thriving without you. This is where I finally realize my worth, and you lose access to me. Not because I'm cold, but because I finally understand that I matter.